an article that you found, Paul, recently about speaking of developers that of a somebody who's looking to buy a whole slew of single-family homes.
Yeah, Toronto-based company called Core Development Group. They have said that they're going to buy, or they're trying, I think, in the process of buying 4,000 single-family homes, roughly about $1 billion. And they essentially want to convert those into 2 units and convert all of those houses into rentals. And their argument is that it basically doubles the housing supply. So they're going to have a lot, we're going to have, instead of 4,000 single family homes, 8,000 rental units. And so, the question now was, that's obviously a pro, doubling the supply. But then the question is, are these going to be existing rentals that they're buying, like kind of student housing type homes? Or are they going to be buying owner occupied homes and converting those to rentals? Because that's obviously going to take more homes off the market. Have you guys seen this, or what are your kind of thoughts on that? I know it's very common in the States, but this would be the first time it happened in Canada. So, with any big shift like this, like we've seen in the last year, there's bound to be things like this that come out, both swimply and also, these types of creative purchases. But what are you guys' thoughts on that, and where do you think that'll go?
I'd be interested to see if it's actually 4,000 additional units, because if they're buying up 4,000 homes that are occupied by families and their resale, those families have to go somewhere. That 4,000 homes is a lot of homes. That's just going to drive up prices in that area of where they need to go. And if they're not converting them to actual duplexes or triplexes or fourplexes or what have you, they're really, at most, if it's going to 2 units, they're not doing it to every home, I would imagine. Mm-hmm. So are they really increasing that supply, or are they just trying to, artificially drive up the market?
And did you guys see anything about it? Are they talking about buying, it's just like individual homes all over the place, or are they talking about like trying to buy like a neighborhood?
No, they said 4,000 rental units in Ontario, Quebec, BC, and Atlantic Canada by 2026.
Okay, I missed that. Okay.
Yeah. It says the idea is to buy homes that can be split into 2 units, for example, with a second unit in the basement, and turn both over to the rental market.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think there's, again, pros and cons to what they're doing. From what I understand, they're not going to be competing in bidding wars, right? They say that they do have margins that they have to follow. So they're not going to be competing with first-time home buyers. I imagine they're going to be like an iBuyer, just going directly to the sellers of places that are not on the market. And, the tenants, families, right? When families rent homes, it's usually not from a property management company or a big corporation. So those tenants, if the person wants to move back in or wants to sell, the families have to move out. And we actually just yesterday, outside of our office, there was a protest of like 40 people, and they were just heading to our neighbor who apparently owns a property and had given notice to his tenants to move out. And it's a family, and they're in an unfortunate situation, so they can't move out. So having purpose-built or purposely used rentals that are single-family homes, I think provides a lot of protection for those tenants, where you're locked in, whether it's on the lease or month to month, you're not going to be kicked out. I think that's huge. We don't have family focused rentals in the city. Mm-hmm. So I think there's something to be said for that. And especially if they're not competing with the rest of the buyers. I don't see a lot. And another point, I've seen a lot of really poorly maintained rentals, especially with the fourplexes, right? Where it's just one person that owns it. They're not in the city. There's water stains on the ceilings, mold growing in the basement, right? They don't care. But with a company, I think there's going to be better living conditions for the tenants. So I don't know. I see it as a positive, mostly.
I think it would start a pretty aggressive trend, because I know like private equity firms, REITs, like all these people are going to see this as an opportunity to make money off of the growth in Canada too, which is, real estate is obviously a very sound investment. Typically, it's the only real like brick and mortar item other than maybe gold or minerals and stuff that you can buy that's actually tangible. But it would be interesting to see if this does go through, what happens over the next 4 or 5 years with other kind of larger private equity firms trying to do the exact same thing. And how would that, it's one thing if it's just one transaction of 4,000 homes in Canada, but what happens when it spreads to all the major cities, and then that would really affect the owner occupied availability in Canada if it gets there. In the States, there's, 50 million people or something now, something in that crazy range. So, I mean, I feel like they have a bit more room to do that. But when you're talking less than 40 million people in the whole country, you know, it wouldn't take too many of these sorts of purchases to shift the whole market.
Yeah, and it certainly wouldn't be.
It's interesting how, you know, I think there's going to be a lot of comments from, you know, I mean, a group of people who are just kind of saying like, oh, now this is happening and now it's going to drive the prices up more or something. And then they'll never be able to buy. And, you know, I mean, I think that's going to be the up in arms, like, you know, representing first time home buyers and stuff like that. So
I think a lot of people, sorry, Greg, a lot of people who like me are not in real estate. I read this article and in my head, it's someone's going to buy up like half of Canada, just all in one spot. All, you know, that's what it is to me. And that's terrifying. Right. But obviously when you spread it out over 4 provinces, obviously it's not going to impact me as much. But I feel like a lot of this is pretty sensational. But yeah, to Paul's point, it's terrifying if it starts happening, you know, every other week.
Hopkins that's the thing, right? Yeah. Then it becomes a problem. And I guess that's the main concern. It's like, what happens if it gets out of control? But bottom line is it can't get out of control that quickly. And, you know, other things will change over time. There'll be different trends. So, yeah, I mean, in terms of, you know, Irina's point of seeing it as a positive where like everything will be managed better, it'll just be, you know, that's a huge bonus, I think. And because there are tons of landlords who just do not care. You know, and some of the tenants end up in situations and it's just a battle and, you know, they don't even want to be there, but then they got nowhere to go because they got in this situation with a shitty landlord. So from that perspective, I think it's very, very reasonable and very, very realistic.